refusing a £32 million settlement. Today, in private, they'll have to finally work it out.
Well, joined now in the studio by independent matrimonial solicitor Ayesha Vardag. Ayesha, good to see you. Thanks very much indeed for being with us. Not going to be at the Royal Courts of Justice, just down the road from here, or across the river from here this morning. They're going to some secret location. Why?
This is actually fairly standard in matrimonial cases. The location's slightly different, I think, because of the celebrity factor. But this is the FDR, which is the Financial Dispute Resolution Hearing. It's a standard Act 2 of the 3-act play, effectively, that is a money claim on divorce. The point is that by the time you get to the midpoint, the parties have got their disclosure out. Everybody's revealed what assets they've had. They've had the opportunity to ask each other questions. So everything's on the table. And the FDR works like a sort of dry run of the final hearing. Everyone turns up with their lawyers. The case is presented to the judge, in this case a very senior High Court judge. And the judge has the chance to look at the situation, give some opinions about how they think it's likely to go in a final hearing. But that judge is then, if they don't settle there, and they're supposed to try and go back and forth, try to strike a deal there, if they don't, that judge is off the case. And everything that's said there is in camera. It doesn't come out in the final hearing. They go forward to the final hearing and fight it out. So
it's last chance saloon, really, for Sir Paul and Heather to sort of settle their financial differences. And I'm making these figures up, but say the judge says, in my view, Heather, you'd be wise to accept 25 million. That's the moment she can say yay or nay.
She can take it or leave it. She'll go away, talk to her lawyers, they'll try to bash something out. What the judge says this time is a very helpful guideline, but either party can say, no, I think I can do better than that, and just leave it. But hundreds of thousands in costs and, you know, difficult publicity issues, etc., can be saved by trying to work it out now.
And that would apply to any ordinary mortal as well. Absolutely. Not obviously with the same degree and glare of publicity, but never to be a huge saving on costs if they settle at that stage. Right. And that's a facility that's offered to everyone.
Everyone.
I understand.
Court built-in mediation.
What about custody of the child? Is that going to be referred to at this stage, or is that a separate court, separate hearing?
It's a separate hearing, separate issue. It may be that they can work that out between themselves.
Now, at the end of the day, they're going to go away. Maybe. How long have they got? Is there a time limit on how long before they decide whether or not to accept the recommendations?
No. It's really very much on the spot, working it out back and forth. The judge may say, OK, go away for a while, I'll come back after lunch, let's see where you've got to, let me see if I can give some more guidance. After that, they've got all the way up to the final hearing, up to any time during the final hearing to try to strike a deal. But this is the critical moment at which it normally happens.
And is there any obligation on any of the parties involved, the court, Sir Paul or Heather, or any of them, to reveal the conclusion?
No. They shouldn't reveal the conclusion.
That's completely secret, and will remain so. Hey, fascinating stuff. Thank you very much, Steve, for coming in, Ayesha.
Thank you. Welcome.
Settlement. Today, in private, they'll have to finally work it out.
Today, or as I say, tomorrow, because no one's quite sure. Let's try and get to the bottom of this. Solicitor Ayesha Vardag is here. She's an expert on family law. Hi, Ayesha.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Is this common, hearing behind closed doors to try and thrash out a settlement?
This is absolutely standard. This is it's the Financial Dispute Resolution Hearing, or FDR. It's effectively Act 2 in the 3-act play that is a financial claim on divorce. It happens for every couple. The venue may be slightly different because of all the publicity. But what happens is that by the time you get to about halfway, the parties have seen each other's financial disclosure, they've had a chance to ask each other questions, and then, so everything's on the table, and in principle, it's open for them to strike a deal. They go up with their lawyers before a judge, in this case a very senior High Court judge, and they try to work something out. The lawyers present their cases. It's like a dry run of the final hearing. And then the judge gives his opinion on how they ought to work it out, may send them away for lunch, go and have a chat, come back and try to work something out. If they don't work something out here, then that judge is off the case. It all stays secret. What happens at the FDR stays at the FDR. And then they go forward to a final hearing. But if they can strike a deal now, they save each other hundreds of thousands of legal costs and all the stress from the publicity.
Well, and presumably if they did end up going to court, as you say, I mean, cameras would be camped out there every single day, and it would just go ballistic, wouldn't it? So what do you think? I know, you know, how many of us know them, but what do you think they will reasonably be able to settle?
This is a case which should settle, because in principle it's quite straightforward. These are assets that were generated before the marriage. It's a question of looking at Heather Mills-McCartney's needs and what she's going to need over the period that she's bringing up the child. And so this should be quite amenable to settlement, but, you know.
Yeah, because they're talking, aren't they, of possibly a lump sum of 15 million and then a certain amount per year as long as Beatrice is, I don't know, up till 21, I guess, now.
Or 18. I mean, that's the rumour, which, you know, wouldn't be a bad deal in all the circumstances, but... you know.
Yeah, because they have only been married, what, 4 or 5 years? So
that's right.
Does that seem a fair deal to you?
I think that would be a good deal, yeah, in all the circumstances. And you can't know until you've seen all the papers, but that strikes me as very reasonable.
Oh, and we've been talking about the financial side of it here, but of course, really, the most important side is that little child, Beatrice. Will they discuss custody arrangements during this hearing as well?
No, this is a separate hearing. This is about money, and obviously what's happening with the child is part of that, but this isn't where that's going to be decided.
So how's that? So if they'd settle the money, they then go on, do they have another private hearing about custody to see if they can do the same sort of settlement?
Yeah, if there is a dispute, if they can't work things out between them, in most cases you don't need to go to court about children because people come to a private arrangement.
Yeah.
But if they can't, then that goes through, as for all couples, it goes through a separate court hearing.
All right, well, I think we all wish them the best, don't we? We don't want your dirty laundry aired in public, do you, really?
Much better to strike a deal.
Exactly. Aisha, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.